Welcome to Marlow, Oklahoma. I'm Ray Ray.
I'm Chris, and this is the Okie Traveler.
Native Okie traveler. So Marlow had a peak population in 1980 of 5,017, and they've had a gradual decline since then. The 2020 census shows 4,385. They do have some notable people listed on Wikipedia. There are several. We'll just mention a few.
There's Terry Brown.
Former NFL defensive back for the Minnesota Vikings.
He is known for catching a touchdown in Super Bowl IX. Then there's Sam Hinkie,
General manager of NBA's
team, the Philadelphia 76ers. Then there's Paul Sparks,
actor.
which his latest show was Joe Pickett. He's a game warden, and he's one of the bad guys.
Spoiler alert.
Not meaning to give it away.
There's also Joe Dial, former world record holder in pole vault, 2011 inductee into Pole Vault Hall of Fame, not to be confused with pole dancing.
And who's the female aviator?
Eula Pearl Carter Scott, born 1915, passed on 2005, became the youngest female aviator in Oklahoma in 1929. There's also a Samantha Harmon, Behind the Chair Hair Show, the world's largest finalist and recognized as a top 5 hairstylist worldwide in 3 separate awarded categories. We just came through the downtown Marlow. Vintage.
About the Outlaw Brothers.
The what?
So we're going to take you up here to Redbud Park. For a small town, they have one of the best firework displays every year. There used to be a Catholic church that was located on 9th and Comanche. They moved it down here to the park, which now it can be rented out as a wedding chapel or any kind of venue.
I'll give you a little bit of history of Marlow as we drive through the park. Born along the Chisholm Trail and on the banks of Wild Horse Creek, the legend of Marlow family and the 5 Marlow brothers has been proven to be more fact than fiction. Dr. Williamson Marlow and his wife, Martha Jane, a relative of Daniel Boone, first established a homestead in this area during the early 1880s. The site of the original Marlow family home is reported to have been located just north of Redbud Park, which is the park we're currently in. Somewhat of a nomad by nature, Dr. Marlow provided medical treatment to the many settlers in this portion of Indian Territory and to many cowboys driving cattle up the Chisholm Trail. He also farmed while his sons reportedly herded horses, selling many of the animals to the U.S. Army located at neighboring Fort Sill, which is in Lawton, Oklahoma, about 30 minutes from here. Dr. Marlow died in 1885. In 1888, his 5 sons were accused of horse stealing, a charge which was later proven to be unfounded. 4 of the brothers, Charlie, Alfred, Boone, and Llewellyn, were arrested and transported by a U.S. Deputy Marshal to the federal court in Graham, Texas, for the trial. Hearing of his brother's arrest, George Marlow took the entire family to Graham to clear his brothers, but soon found himself behind bars. Boone Marlow ultimately escaped and returned to the Marlow area in Indian Territory, while his 4 brothers were scheduled to be transported to an ostensibly safer jail in Weatherford, Texas. Several attempts were made by Graham citizens and law enforcement officials to lynch the Marlows. On the night of January 19, 1889, the brothers were shackled in pairs, George to Llewellyn and Charlie to Alfred for the trip to Weatherford. When the group reached Dry Creek outside of Graham, a signal was given and a hidden mob opened fire on the seemingly defenseless Marlows. The guards ran to join the mob while the brothers leaped from the wagon and armed themselves with guns taken from guards. In the vicious gunfight that followed, Llewellyn and Alfred were killed. Both George and Charlie were seriously wounded. Retrieving a dead mob member's knife, George Marlowe unjointed his dead brother's ankles. He and Charlie used a wagon to escape the ambush site. 3 members of the mob were also killed and a number of others wounded. Several members of the mob were later prosecuted and convicted for the assault upon the brothers. Boone was later poisoned near Hell Creek, west of Marlowe. His corpse was then shot in an attempt to obtain a $1,500 reward, but his killers too were brought to trial. Alfred, Boone, and Llewellyn were buried in a small cemetery at what was once Venice, Texas, outside of Graham. George and Charlie Marlowe survived the attack, eventually moving their families to Colorado, where they became outstanding citizens serving as law enforcement officers. In 1891, after sentencing mob members for their part in the attack, federal judge A.P. McCormick was quoted as saying, "This is the first time in the annals of history where unarmed prisoners shackled together ever repelled a mob. Such cool courage that preferred to fight against such great odds and die, if at all, in glorious battle, rather than die ignominiously by a frenzied mob, deserves to be commemorated in song and story." That's a little bit of the history on Marlowe.
So, right up here on the right, on the northwest corner, is Giuseppe's. Great Italian food. They're open every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
And it's built in the old bank. And so inside is very cool.
Which was established in 1911.
State National Bank.
That concludes the trip to Marlowe, Oklahoma. Please don't forget to like and please subscribe so it helps this channel grow. Thank you.